Welcome to Betting with Benny and Tino here at FTN Bets. Week 15, the COVID week, the crazy week for NFL action. It is a Friday show, so we're going to get into our Sunday NFL prop bets, talk about our underdog parlays, and see if we can make some money on what is turning out to be one of the craziest weeks in recent memory for NFL history. Tino, you ready for the Sunday NFL prop bet show?
No, I'm barely ready for today. I'm just going to fair warn the people outside. It seems like there's an earthquake happening. We got a lot of construction going on, as if dealing with props not showing up and betting lines jumping everywhere. We have some real life stuff going on too. So, heck of a weekend. Football starts tomorrow, even though it started last night. We can talk about the Thursday games here in a second. But yeah, man, we gotta weather the storm is the best way I could put it. Right? We gotta find some value and try to walk through these lines and walk through what's available for you guys because, the show must go on.
And that's it. I mean, we talked about it on Wednesday when Brooke and I were on the show for, betting with Brooke and Benny. And I basically said, I don't know who it's going to be, but I can guarantee you guys that we haven't heard the last of all this COVID stuff and that there's going to be more guys put in the protocol. There's going to be more lines that start moving, more guys that are going to be out this weekend. And so far we've had it. We had another two guys today with Case Keenum and Taylor Heineke, two quarterbacks that were supposed to start this week that are now not starting. Lines already started moving in those games. But you know what? Let's not worry about all that for now. Let's get into what the people really want, and that is our Sunday NFL prop bets here. Before we do that, let's recap last night's game. You have the recap on last night's game. I know you had a big night last night. I lost a unit or so, but I know you had a big day, so go ahead.
Yeah, you did lose a unit or so, a little under a unit and a half. That'll happen when when we bet the board the way we do. We were on the touchdowns. We knew a lot of touchdowns were going to happen. The over got there. It took a little bit. It didn't look great at first with all the field goals that were happening and all the fourth down conversions that didn't happen. I crushed it. Could have had a 3-0 night. That's hindsight, right? McCole Hardman was wide open in the end zone a few times, and he short-armed it. He didn't have the laces on the one, and that would have been another plus 450 bet. But I told the people, mortgage, best bet, put it all on Justin Herbert rushing touchdown plus 450. I uttered the words. It would get me back. It would get us in the green, and it did exactly that. We ended up, Travis Kelce was also a winner for us, over 5.5 receptions. He smashed that total, ended up scoring 2 touchdowns. I did mention that you could have got in on him to score at any point at plus 110, but that's another one that was kind of in danger there for a second. He didn't score until the end, right? He scored those 2 touchdowns in the final 20 minutes. So, good day. And you know what? We're still doing great. You got a winner even though you lost a unit or so. You're still in the green by a lot. Plus 13.7 units in profit for you, 17 and 21. So, you sweep your ticket here on Sunday and you're almost back to 500, which is something I can't say for myself as I am 18 and 32. But I'm plus 22.2 units. Feels good. It feels good to hit one again. I told you this about last Sunday. We saw Dawson Knox go down. I was like, you know what? You need to see one. We made the basketball references. We get Herbert. We have a lot to overcome this weekend. I couldn't even really find player props I loved. I ended up kind of going with a theme. But what are you looking at for your props? What do you think for this weekend?
Yeah, so let's start with what you just said right there. It's half of these games don't even have props up right now or only have props on one side of the game because of all the stuff that's going on with COVID and all the uncertainty. It's also like, towards the end of the NFL season, everybody at this point is at the very least banged up. So we got to see if some of these guys are going to sit. Some of them are going to play. One of my plays, and I'll start with this one because I think it's my favorite play of the week, and I actually want to take a first touchdown for him, but I can't find a first touchdown bet out there at the moment. But I really like James Robinson from the Jacksonville Jaguars. It looks like Carlos Hyde is not going to play. Hyde has been siphoning off not a lot of work, but like 6 to 9 carries in the last couple games, grabbing a couple of the targets as well. So now we're going to get back to what we saw with James Robinson at the beginning of the year, where he's getting, 14 or 15 carries, somewhere around there, if not a little more this game. Also seeing like 3 or 4 targets as well. So I think there's going to be a lot of usage for James Robinson in this one. It's a great matchup against a really bad Houston Texans defense here. You can get him as an anytime touchdown. I took him anytime touchdown on DraftKings this morning at plus 105. I should have looked at the first touchdown when I did, and now it's off the board again, so we'll have to see what that comes back as. But I know the first touchdowns have been hot, and people have been asking for him, so James Robinson, first touchdown as well, is something I would look at. But I'm taking the anytime touchdown, too, at plus 105 as my first play here. My next play is going to be Gabriel Davis from the Buffalo Bills. So Emmanuel Sanders hasn't practiced yet this week. He's listed as doubtful. If he doesn't practice today, he's definitely not going to play, which will put Gabriel Davis in the starting lineup. So Davis came on late in the second half last week, caught the touchdown pass, had a couple plays in overtime as well. This is a guy that I think is a talented receiver that just needed to get onto the field right now. They have Stephon Diggs, they have Cole Beasley, they have Dawson Knox, they have a lot of guys that can catch passes. But Gabriel Davis is another weapon that they could put in there. So he is plus 210 to find the end zone, something he's done in each of the last two games here. So I just thought that number was a little too high. I would have expected him more in like the 160, maybe 175 range. So to get him at plus 210, I thought we were getting good value. So Gabriel Davis, my second touchdown scorer, my second prop bet for Sunday. And then my third Sunday NFL prop bet is going to be Devonte Parker of the Miami Dolphins. So Parker came back last week, caught all 5 of the passes that were thrown his way. But the more important thing for me here is if you, this is actually funny, and I shouldn't be laughing, but if you go and look at the Miami Dolphins team on like a DraftKings or a FanDuel right now, right? You look down the list of the running backs. There are like 6 or 7 running backs listed. Of those 6 or 7 running backs listed, 5 of them are either injured or COVID-19 protocol right now. They're down to basically Duke Johnson and then hoping that Malcolm Brown comes off IR and can play here. I don't think the running game is going to have that much success, even against a bad Jets team. I think what they're going to wind up doing is having to go to the air. Now, when they go to the air, the other thing here is that Jalen Waddle is on the COVID list this week as well. That's a guy that's been seeing like 9, 10, 11 targets in each of their last like 5 or 6 games. So now there are all these targets open. They're not going to be able to move the ball on the ground. They got like their 5th and 6th string running backs. You know, Duke Johnson was a guy that they picked up, and then they just, put him up from the practice squad because they're going to need him. And he may even wind up starting and being the guy who carries the rock the most for them this week. So Devonte Parker, plus 115 to get in the end zone. I think they're going to have to throw the ball to this guy a double-digit amount of times here. The Jets secondary is not very good, despite what people say. People are like, oh, yeah, well, they don't, the Jets don't give up a ton of passing yards. Yeah, because they're losing most games by 3 touchdowns, and teams are just running all over them. So they don't have to throw the ball. But I'm not sure Miami's going to find any success on the ground this week. I think they're going to have to go to the air. So Devonte Parker, plus 115, my third NFL Sunday prop bet. What do you got for us, Tino?
I like it. I actually picked up Devonte Parker prior to the COVID news because of, to Jalen Waddle. Obviously, there's a ton of COVID news out there. But I just felt like he was in a great spot. He was doing well kind of regardless. I think they had to air it out. I know Gaskin was hurt. And really just everyone's dropping like flies. We talked about it. I know this is a betting show, but it is a tough week to manage in fantasy football. I mean, it's a really good week to have a bye week because it's pretty much matchups, but then you're also like holding your breath and just not necessarily praying for a miracle, but it's like you gotta try to find volume in some unpredictability. That's the thing here. It's like I'm trying to find a way to predict kind of what's going on here. And so here's my trend. Here's my predictable trend here. I'm gonna bet on 2 guys over plus 240 here with 7 touchdowns. That's just the way I'm looking at it. We have all tight ends on my ticket here. I'll start with Hunter Henry. He's my favorite bet. Everyone forgot about him. And deservingly so. He hasn't really done anything over, let's see, the last 4 weeks. They had a bye 3 weeks in a row here without a touchdown prior to. But before then, he had 7 touchdowns in 6 weeks. 7 weeks. 7 touchdowns in 7 weeks. Pretty good. And I know Jonnu Smith was getting some carries in the running game, and everyone likes how he's being used. I get it. I totally get it. But the Colts can't guard tight ends. I think they're going to try to run the ball against Indy, control the clock, play Patriot style of football, and then feast off play action. I mean, it's hard for a Patriots player to score a touchdown when the quarterback throws the ball 3 times all game and twice in the last drive on their own 20. So I think that'll change. I think the game script changes against the Colts. I actually think there's going to be some points in this game. I told you, I'm kind of in the middle here. I started the week on the Colts, felt good about them. Now I'm leaning towards the Patriots as one of my favorite underdogs, and you'll see that on my parlay ticket. But I think Hunter Henry is a big part of that. 7 touchdowns in the season plus 260. I think that's phenomenal odds. And then I'm going to go to Pat Freiermuth. Last week, he got a garbage time touchdown in a game that they came back in, but he's at plus 240. And again, I'm looking around at these odds, and I'm just trying to find value of whatever I could even find. I feel like these are great odds. I mean, if you're getting nearly 2.5 to 1 on some guys who have proven it. Now, the Titans are pretty good against guarding tight ends, but I don't know, man. Big Ben loves him. Big Ben loves Pat, man. And, last week, only 2 receptions, one of them for touchdown. Yeah, he can be touchdown dependent, but when you're betting touchdown scores, that's totally fine with me. So from fantasy, maybe you're relying on it, but from a betting standpoint at 2.5 or close to 2.5 to 1, maybe you could shop this and get it over plus 240 because I was only able to find this on one sportsbook that had it available. So definitely use the prop shop after the weekend and see if you can get it. Henry, you got to get it now or tomorrow because we have those Saturday games. My last one here is going to be Dalton Schultz. Now, he only has 4 touchdowns on the season. I don't necessarily love the number. He's plus 170, and I think the Cowboys are going to curve stomp the Giants. So it could work against him in terms of the game script, but they love using him in this offense. He went off against the Giants. He didn't score the last time they played, but I think he caught 6 of 8 for 80 yards. I mean, everything but a touchdown, right? A phenomenal day for a tight end, everything but a touchdown. I'm gonna go in on him scoring this week. I think he has a really good opportunity. Giants haven't guarded a tight end since the start of football, and yeah, these are my three tight ends, 3 profitable odds. I really like Hunter Henry, though. I think that's probably the best bet. I like Hunter Henry because everyone's kind of fallen off the ship there. You've dropped him in your fantasy leagues, and I think he's sneaky, man. They like him in the red zone.
Yeah, so remember, there are games on Saturday. Hunter Henry playing in one of those games on Saturday here. And like Tino mentioned, get over to the prop shop over at FTN Bets. It's right up top under the tools tab. You go to we have a new navigation bar up there. You guys should go check out. The site looks great. Shout out to Elliot Christ, our COO and Chief Technology Officer as well. Really put together a nice upgrade here. Mm-hmm. But one of the things that you said that I want everybody to realize is, we try to look at all these props, and normally it's like a massive undertaking where I'm looking at numbers, I'm looking at yardage, I'm looking at catches, I'm looking at all this stuff, trying to find where some of the value is. It took me very little time to do it this week because there were so few places that actually have props up. So the numbers that we mentioned here are listed props that we were able to actually bet on here today. But some of these numbers we might be able to get better numbers on as these other books start listing their props. I mean, half the time, half of BetMGM props weren't even up this morning. PointsBet didn't even have any NFL stuff up there. So there may even be some better numbers that pop up. So like Tino said, you go to the prop shop, you just put in the name of whatever player you're looking for. All of his props that are listed will pop up there. Then you can kind of search through. If you hear one of the ones that we say and you can get it at a better price than we got it at, obviously take it at the better price. These are just the prices that we were able to take them at today. And that's why we want to talk about them during the show. So you guys know exactly what we're betting on here. So there you go. That wraps it up for the Sunday NFL prop bets. Let's go on and talk about our underdog parlays here. Something that we started doing last week that we got a little bit of feedback on that the people kind of like the underdog parlays. So we're going to keep it going this week. I have one that's going to pay very well. I call this the making $1 out of 15-cent underdog parlay because if you put in about $15 on this one, at the end of the day, you're going to get paid pretty close to $1 on it. So if that 15 is $150, you're going to wind up making 1,000. If that 15 is $15, you're going to wind up turning it into 100. So the way I'm going to try to make $1 out of 15 cents here today, I'm going to parlay 2 teams that I think can pull off some upset victories this week. And one, I don't even really consider it an upset. That's the Cincinnati Bengals against the Denver Broncos here. I think people are a little bit too high on the Broncos and a little bit too down on the Cincinnati Bengals. I know the game is in Mile High. I know it's out in Denver here. But this Broncos team has a lot of talent. And, this is a team that when their offense is humming, they could just put up a massive amount of points. And I'm not sure Denver would be able to put up a massive amount of points to stop them. Denver needs to win this game 21-17. If Cincinnati gets over 24 points, they're going to win this game because I just don't see Denver putting up those kind of points on them here. So I really like the Cincinnati Bengals at plus 135. And then the other one is more of a dice roll here, but I am taking the Seattle Seahawks plus 160 to beat the Los Angeles Rams. And now at full strength, I would never, ever make this bet. The Rams at full strength should absolutely roll the Seattle Seahawks here. But the Rams are not at full strength. The Rams have not practiced. The Rams practice facility was closed because of the COVID outbreak. We know that Jalen Ramsey's out. We know that Odell Beckham's out. We know that there's a bunch of other guys on the list as well. And that list may even grow between now and Sunday when this game is actually played. So you have a team that hasn't been able to really practice this week. More importantly, their injured players haven't been able to get into the facility to get the treatment that they need. And then on top of it, they're going to be missing a couple key pieces on both sides of the ball here. I don't even consider it a letdown game. I'm just saying that this is one of those games where, when you handicap this, you look at it as a whole. You look at the normal Rams team that's out there. We know it's not going to be the normal Rams teams out there. So maybe they have some problems. Maybe somebody makes a mistake. Maybe somebody, backup is not good enough to really hold down the fort the way the starter did here. I think that there is a path for the Seattle Seahawks to win this game. They're plus 160, plus 165. On DraftKings, if you take the Bengals and the Seahawks and parlay them together, plus 511 is the payout, and I like that. So I'll have a little bit of money on that one this week. Tino, what do you got for us with the Underdog Parlays?
So I don't think you're going to like my parlay because it might seem like an accidental troll here. Now, I want the people to know that I wanted to be on the Washington football team, but up until about 20 minutes before showtime, I thought Kyle Allen was still on the team for this week, and he is not. He will not be, and Taylor Heineke is also out. So as much as I want to take them plus 12 or take them on the money line there, I think that's a little bit far-fetched. This might be equally as far-fetched. I'm going to start with my craziest pick, and this is a shout-out to Benny here. I'm taking the New York Jets, plus 310.
It's not crazy. I almost did it too. It's not crazy. It's
Benny,
not that crazy.
You reiterated every point I needed to when you were talking about all the things with Miami earlier this week, all the COVID cases. It's pretty much exactly that. It's for everyone that's on the Oakland Raiders this week or the Las Vegas Raiders this week, you can equally say the same thing for the New York Jets. It's true. Like, you're just betting against the fact that they have guys like Michael Carter's coming back. I just got the notification. He's going to have a significant role. Like, I will bet on that. I will bet on that over a team like you're on Seattle just based on these guys. I mean, the Jets, if you really wanted to play it safer, they're 9.5-point dogs. That's a lot against a team. I know Miami handled them when they played them in New York, but it's a lot of points for a lot of unknowns and uncertainties. It's just something I don't want to get down with. I'd rather be on the underdog side. So for the moneyline underdog parlay, I'm going to throw the Jets in here, plus 310. The other two are going to kind of be normal. So I mentioned the Patriots, plus 120. I think they're actually my favorite underdog of the week right now. It took me a little bit. The more I talked about it, you don't go broke betting on the Patriots and Tom Brady sometimes, right? I know they're not the same thing anymore, but it's kind of what I learned last week when I was riding the Bills on the underdog parlay. I really wanted the Bills to come through. I wanted the 3.5 to hit, and it's like, I've seen this before. Just don't bet against the Patriots and Tom Brady. Maybe it burns me this week. Maybe the Colts are for real, and the Patriots come back to earth a little bit. That's fine, but in terms of the Patriots being an underdog and them rolling the way they are right now, off a bye, both teams off a bye, I'll take the plus 120. I'm going to go with the Pittsburgh Steelers then. Here's my third pick. I don't love it as much as I want to. This is more of a I'm not touching the Titans anymore game. This is the Titans just aren't who they are anymore. Like, they're going to rely on Julio Jones this week, who hasn't done anything all season. Tannehill's keeping them afloat. The defense has been up and down. They've had such big letdown games to your Jets, to the Texans. Like, I don't trust them at all. They don't really beat anyone convincingly. The Steelers are 6-6-1. I know they kind of had a letdown against the Vikings, and now they brought it close, and they either start hot and blow it or get hot late and don't pull through, and that's why the line is the way it is right now. It's pretty much a pick 'em, so they're not necessarily underdogs, but they're minus 115 over at DraftKings. That's what I have the line at. They were plus 1, so I'll consider them a dog. And I'm going to put them on here just as the home team, the more complete team. They are healthier. Like, I think that's what you have to bet on this week is, like, the health and the certainty of what you know. Maybe you don't love it, but at least they got guys out there that you could feel good about getting behind. So this 3-leg parlay here with the Jets, nearly 16-1, plus 1586. I feel really good about it, man. It won't take a lot. Obviously, the Jets are the biggest hiccup to get past, but I actually feel better about the Jets than I do the Steelers. So I think the Steelers are going to be a hard one to watch. And the good thing is, too, we get one out of the way tomorrow, right? We get one out of the way tomorrow on Saturday. I think if you're going to do some parlays, I'd probably at least bet one of the two games, if not both, tomorrow to really kind of get yourself going into Sunday. Get a little momentum.
Well, and also, if you hit something tomorrow and you have a parlay, what you basically have going into Sunday now is a team that is, I don't know, whatever the hell their odds are. Instead of having a team at minus 150 or plus 200, you're jacking up the payout on that because you already got through the Saturday leg of it. So now it's basically like you could bet on that team at plus 400 or plus 1,500 or something like that. So even if you wanted to kind of hedge off and take something on the other side or, take a spread instead of a money line and kind of give yourself a middle there, you have options to go into it. And on a week like this too, there is so much uncertainty. I mean, again, I'm going to say exactly what I said on Wednesday again today here, and it's still going to hold true. There's a good chance that some of the things that we're thinking of or we're talking about or some of the guys that we're on may wind up testing positive or being put in the protocol this week and may not even play on Sunday. That's how crazy this week has been. We have over 100 players in the COVID protocol throughout the league at this point. And again, I don't think that list is done. We're going to get more names. We got more names on it already this morning. We'll probably get more names on it tonight and tomorrow as well. So definitely pay attention to that. This is one of those weeks where you need to be on Twitter or you need to be over in the Discord at FTN Bets, kind of, checking everything out and getting all the updated news and kind of, processing it and what it means for the other players out there, and then looking to see if there's any value that's still left there. Because again, the books have to process all this stuff too. And, they have hundreds of props to look at. So there's always a couple that fall through the cracks. Mm-hmm. And that is going to be the thought that I leave everybody on here today as we get going to wrap up Betting with Benny and Tino, Friday edition, NFL, Sunday, NFL prop bets, and the Underdog Parlays. Go out there, have some fun this week, get into the holiday spirit, get some extra money so you can buy some presents or even pay off the credit card bills, which is what I'm hoping to do because my wife ran them all up. So for Tino, this is Benny signing off. Good luck this week, everybody.